The following episode is brought to you by Poison City Brewing, proud makers of Durban Poison Cannabis Lager, the beer that invites you to live your poison. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back again with another episode of Sludge Underground podcast. I'm Nasiphi Zwane, and I'm obviously not alone. I've got Meagan of Lemon Dove hosting the show with me as per usual, and today she's going to be introducing the artist that we are hosting.
Loveboy and His Imaginary Friends is the first ever half analog, half digital band, all the way from Australia and a world beyond. Loveboy is here with an important message and beats to match. Together, let's reshape love. Loveboy, welcome to the show.
Yeah, my name is Nikolai, aka Loveboy, which is kind of an alter ego that I invented because I wanted to start a band and I wanted to evolve myself and become an artist in some way. So I had to say goodbye to an old me in order to have that courage to become an artist in some way, I guess. So I started a band, and it's pretty hard nowadays to have a band and keep it. I reckon it's kind of this millennial Gen Z thing that we don't want to do too many compromises, so everyone wants to do their own thing. So I wanted a band, but I didn't have people that wanted to have a band. So at that point, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna invent my own band, and that's how I came up with Loveboy and His Imaginary Friends.
And I think, one thing that, people are able to relate to, is sort of someone's background and their roots as well. For you, making music, and being the artist that you are, if you could just walk us through where that sort of stems from, how long ago did this start? When did you decide that, making music and being an artist is what you're wanting to do with your life?
Yeah, sure. So my dad is a musician, and my mother's side, like all the people from my mother's side, my grandmother, my auntie, and my mother, they were all very creative. So since I was a kid and I could think, I was always being creative in making stuff. I think one of the earliest things that I did was I built my own little tiny houses from cardboards, and I always had them I made them in kindergarten, and my mom always had to pick me up because they were so big and they couldn't stay in the kindergarten. So my mom had to come with a car, pick me up. And at some point she said, you can't do that anymore because I can't come and pick you up all the time. And at that point, I started building houses that I could fold together and carry it myself. So I think that's the thing that I always did. Like, I never got stopped by anything telling me you can't do that anymore. I always wanted to keep on being creative. And then at some point, I started playing djembe, I don't know, African drums, because I wanted to start drumming, and my dad told me you first have to learn how to play one drum in order to play the whole thing, but that didn't work out quite well. So when I was around 12, me and my brother, we wanted to start a band, and that's where we did this teenager band thing with our friends. And I don't know, it just all the time I've been creative. I painted a lot as a kid. I tinkered stuff. I made music because my dad was a musician and he introduced us into making music ourselves. And so it has always been, I don't know, creativity has always been the thing that I want to do. I did then art schools and I became a graphic designer and so on. And when I was around 20 years old, or 23 was it? Yeah, I got depressed a lot because of school. And it just never fit in. It's kind of that typical story of not fitting into a system, because everything I always wanted to do is just being creative, just coming up with ideas and stuff and do it. And then with 25, I decided to kind of become a freelance graphic designer. So I quit my job, and that's where I started to realize that it's not about like you can't work in a system. Like as an artist, you can. It's just about finding the way how you can make your own money, I guess. And slowly over the last 3 years, I realized that I can become an artist if I want to, and I can make my own money in some way. I don't know, it's just always been there that I wanted to do that. And I think last year I actually decided to just go for it, just try it out.
Yeah, and just a follow-up question to that before I pass on to Meagan is that, she was mentioning to me before we started the interview and just prior that, when it comes to the music that you make and the element that you mentioned there, the fact that you're a graphic designer, it's all very consistent, dude. Basically the visual, matches up to the kind of sound that you make. So how do you make sure, as an artist, as both a graphic designer and a musician, how do you ensure, and get that kind of consistency between, your artwork and your music?
That's a good question. I guess there's this thing between being an artist and being a graphic designer, because in some way, as a designer, you kind of work towards a target audience. You try to sell it, and as an artist, you kind of just do what you do, and you hope that it relates with people. And I think having both of those elements, I kind of know which way I have to go and how to prepare like visuals so that people buy into it a bit. And at the same time, I can do my own art, and then I just try to implement the art that I do into the graphics for this project.
The first thing I noticed about you was your visual style, and it was one of the big things that made me listen to your music. And then I was so pleased to find that the music has such substance to it, even though it is incredibly fun to listen to and move to. It seems like you use it as a way to tell stories of your band members and your world. It's really quite a substantial channeling, and I really respect you for being able to put so much of your creative energy into this project and make it so seamless. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about these band members.
Yeah, sure. I have 3 imaginary band members. So one is the drummer, which is called Lampard, and he's kind of this weird looking jungle cat. He has a leopard texture, like fur. And all of the band members are paintings or sketches that I did when I was between 5 or 8 years old. And when my grandma died, I went through my old sketches and I found these sketches of these characters, and I thought I want to reinvent them in some way. It's kind of a way to reach out to my own child back in the days and appreciate the things that my child, like the child I was, did. And then Lampard was this funny looking thing, so I gave it this texture, this fur of a leopard. And it's just, I don't know how you go with creativity. It really you get really creative when you have boundaries. So I had these sketches, so I had to come up with, like, I wanted them to be band members, but then I thought they need a story, they need names and stuff. And Lampard looked like a weird looking cat, jungle cat thing. So I came up with the name Lampard because I thought, like, his father is a lemon and his mother is a leopard, because he's really looking like kind of a cat, but he's quite ugly. So I thought it can't be 2 leopards, because 2 leopards would have just another looking leopard child, which I think leopards are quite nice animals. So that's how his father became a lemon, I guess. And yeah, and he stands for, he has a meaning. He stands for, even though he's a leopard in some way and he hangs out with other leopards, he's quite ugly, but he has this big smile. Like if you look at the visual, he has this big smile. So I think everyone knows someone in their life that is not looking too well, you know, but like their inner glow and their inner light is so bright and they're just happy, and they, like, everyone around them is just has such a good vibe because of them, you know, because they're not bound to their surface, you know. Like too many times we define ourselves by our looks and not by the things that are inside. And that what Lampard is about. He's like kind of ugly, but he has a big smile and he makes everyone smile. So that's how Lampard, I think, came to life. The other one is a dolphin, and he has a halo on top, so apparently he's dead. And he flies, and he's pink, so he's a pink dead flying dolphin, which doesn't make any sense, I guess, because dolphins mostly are not pink and they swim. So, but he was the first painting that I did when I thought, you know what, I think I need to start painting again and make like proper paintings and try to be an artist. And that happened when my grandma died, and he was the first one I painted as a big picture. And his meaning is, he's called Beefynn McDoll, which I don't know, I came up with that name with one of my best friends. I don't know, because he has this slightly aggressive look in his eyes. He's quite beefy, I guess, so you don't fuck around with him. That's how he was called, Beefynn. And obviously if you move the letters around, this the word dolphin implemented in that name, Beefynn McDoll, like dolphin. So he's quite protective, because I saw him as a, like, kind of a message from my grandma who died, and then I started this whole journey, and I painted him first. So I kind of see him like a guardian angel. That's why he can fly, and he's dead. So obviously he's kind of the, also, like, to all these characters, there's a song on the album which tells the whole story, how I met them. And so Beefin's kind of the guardian angel that comes flying down from the skies and picked me up, kind of from the dark place I was in. And yeah, that's like his meaning. And he's the keyboarder. And the last one is Hugtus, which is a cactus. I don't know. It's so funny to talk about this seriously. Actually, I lived in Australia 5 years ago with a French guy, and he was called Roch. And so I named the cactus Hugtus Roch Hard, because his meaning is that some things in life, they hurt, but they're needed to move through life. Like, you always learn stuff from mistakes and from things that hurt. They make you stronger. So Hugtus is basically a story about hugging a cactus, hence the name Hugged Us. It's everything is very simple, actually. So yeah, that's what Hugtus stands for. He's a cactus that I met, and he first, like, I arrived on this small island, and Hugtus was on it, and he chased me around the island. And obviously I was afraid, because when a cactus comes running after you, you're quite afraid, probably, until we were both out of breath and we kind of had to start talking. And I think it's kind of like a problem, you know, a problem comes running towards you. And the first thing you do when you face a problem or a dead ending in your life, like you get afraid and you start running away from it. But at some point you have to face it in order to get over it. So Hugtus was in the beginning a problem that came running after me, until we sat down and we talked and we became friends. And at some point we hugged us. So hence your problems and the things in life that you fear, you just have to invent another way to make friends with these problems, and then at some point you will move on, you know what I mean? So that's the meaning of the cactus, and he plays the bass guitar in the band.
That is super special, dude. And what was your motivation behind making Beefynn McDoll sort of, the face of Goodbye? Because I think that's him there on the cover, dolphin with the halo. Why did you decide, of all of them, Lampard there, and the cactus there, why sort of Beefynn McDoll have him be, the cover on the cover art?
Because he's the first thing that I did starting this journey, and he's the, like, when my grandma died and it all got triggered, and I felt this urge to do art, and then I painted him first, and it's called Goodbye because I say goodbye to an old me, I say goodbye to my grandmother, I said goodbye to my home, leaving it to go to Australia. Like there's many things. It was just a new journey waiting, and Beefynn was kind of the first thing that I met on this journey, you know?
I really love how you express the origin stories of these characters, how you involve them in your posts on Instagram. And I really like how you bring some of the people that you meet into the same world by sort of showcasing them with Lampard, with McBeefyn, and Mr. Hugtus. Like, what's your process there? Like, is that a way for you to just include people, or do people ask you to do these things? What goes on?
The thing is, I'm very into branding, building a brand, and if you have a healthy living brand, building it up is like, it doesn't give you any boundaries to do, like, you can't just do everything, and it becomes part, it's kind of a world building, and it just works together so well with this project, because the intention of this project is, the thing is, I'm on the autism spectrum, so I have this thing where I constantly feel like I'm, how do you say, in my own world. Like sometimes I have difficulties to connect to this real world that people live in. And the thing with autism is, like your brain is wired differently. That's why you perceive stuff differently to most people, let's say most people, because there's heaps of people that are on the autism spectrum and don't even know it. But I think it's neuroscience, you know, and like every human is different. And for me, it was just I wanted to have the courage to travel into my own world, like travel deep inside of me and find, like, see what I can find there, and then bring it out. And having this thing where I tell my friends, like, hey, send me pictures, I'm gonna implement, like, I'm gonna Photoshop my imaginary friends in, is this kind of nice way of connecting these worlds, you know, connecting the worlds of other people with mine. And it's just a nice way to do it. And it's heaps of fun, because every time you get a picture, you have to think of a funny way to implement them.
Yeah, dude. I think this is one of the more special episodes that we've had, because this is it's a completely unique, sort of approach to doing, the kind of art that you do, bro. And obviously you have covered, the imaginary friends part of the name. I need you to just let us know, what the Loveboy part of the name sort of stands for. Where does that sort of stem from?
Loveboy is kind of the hero in this journey, and he's like, if you listen to the whole album, you can, it's basically the story of me becoming Loveboy, and it's a story of, let's say in the beginning, I'm just a boy, I'm just traveling through space, and then I get lost in space, lost on a new planet. And for me, it's just like I felt unloved, you know. And for me, it's always everything in this world in some way comes down to love. That's just the most beautiful thing that people can share with each other. So I always feel like a boy because I like playing around and like, you know, be creative, just feel like a child, you know, don't worry about stuff, just be yourself, do what you love. And on the other hand, love is just the only thing that I want, I guess, and everyone wants it, you know.
Please, can you tell us more about your relationship with your producer, Masha Baby?
Yeah, here comes a shout out. Yeah, he's the most amazing guy in this whole project because he's the we've known each other since we like 12 years old. So he again, like we, this project is all about, I think, being a child and just have fun, you know. And it started, I think, when we were 12 years old and I met him, and we had a band and we made music and stuff, and then for quite some time we didn't have much contact, and that's where he started producing his own music on his laptop. And at some point we met again when we were like in our 20s, and I don't know, it's just he became this amazing guy on with his laptop creating the most amazing music. And so we started the band again and stuff, and we just always kept on making music together. And then like we went through shitty times together, we went through good times together, and at some point, I don't know, like I always knew I wanted to make music with him because he has such a good handwriting in music. You know what I mean? Like that when you listen to the music and you feel like that's something I've never heard, that's usually his handwriting coming in. And that's what I really appreciate about working with him. Not only that we know each other for so long, and that's why we can speak very openly in this project and making music. We really understand how we work, and we always tell each other like everything we do and we say, we never want to do anything bad to each other. And once you realize that, you can say pretty much anything during a creative process. You know, there's always downs when you go like, oh, I don't like that. And if you know it's not in bad intentions, you can just concentrate on making music together and creating. And that's why it's so good to work with him, because he has this unique style and I have my unique style. And when they clash, it creates this new thing, and we can speak openly, we can create openly. And actually we just thought about, like, we're thinking about a second album or something, a second project with Loveboy. And then we started, because I think Masha Baby needs a space in this story as well. So we thought about, why not have him like as a sidekick of Loveboy? It would be like the sickest story, like Loveboy and his imaginary friends with Masha Baby as a sidekick. And I don't know, at some point I could even see a movie or something, you know. It's such a cool name that goes along with Loveboy as well. Loveboy and Masha Baby, it's just cool as superheroes.
So, okay, so talking more about how you're able to bring this sort of animation aspect into the real world. Are there, like, how do you navigate a live show? Do you perform live shows? Is AR involved, or like is it in the vision for live shows? How do we navigate that?
I have these visions of having a live show with 10 meter or 20 meters LEDs, and these imaginary friends move on the stage through those LED screens. But right now I'm facing the challenge of having very limited resources in terms of animation and bringing them on the stage. So I had 3 live shows last year, very small ones, to kind of test the whole thing, kind of test the whole idea. Back then, all the songs were still kind of like drafts, so it wasn't very big concerts. It was just in a intimate space with some people, and there I just put like 3 canvas on the stage, and I have the imaginary friends with a projector projected on the canvas. And back then it was just the problem was it was a 15-minute show, sometimes 20 to half an hour, so you have to do the whole animation with the playback music. Like obviously I can't play everything myself, so you have a playback tune along with the animation. It's basically a video with sound, and you play that, and I do the vocals and some guitar solos over it. So that's how it works for now. But I reckon in the future it could be like, I'm experimenting now with a visual DJing software, where you can have different, like you have one song with the animation for this song, and you have different songs on different tracks, and you can just, MIDI trigger them. But it's still experimenting with it. I don't have a live show ready yet, but we're working on it.
Something interesting that I actually noticed as well when I was listening to you to Goodbye, was the track list and the names, dude. It's like I say, I think it goes hand in hand with, like, I feel like nothing that Loveboy does is sort of like, is something that you'd find someone else doing. I feel like Loveboy is, the epitome of what sort of an individual, like, is completely different to anyone else that is an artist. So now just looking at this track list and the names that you gave to these songs, what was sort of, what sort of went into that? What was the thinking behind it? I'm pretty sure each song is motivated by something different, but I mean, the entire track list as a whole sort of just shows that you are a completely different artist. So just let me in on that, bro.
Well, yeah, it comes to branding and to being an artist, and I think what most artists nowadays, like especially in the music industry, because everyone has the tools to make music, and everyone has this thing where they know, if it goes viral, I could become like a superstar. But most of the people forget, like, to travel inside of them, really dig deep in your own things. Like, how do you do something? How do you live? What are your thoughts? Like, just, and I think as children we do that very well. Like, as when we were very young, we don't care about much, we just be ourselves. And I think Loveboy is a process of just digging into your own world, and that's how these funny names of the songs come up, because the deeper I was digging, the more you could find, like, unique stories, unique ways of doing things, unique painting styles, unique music styles. And then there was the stories and the music, and at some point there was the names. It's just digging deep into it, and then you come up with very authentic stuff, I guess.
Is there a connection between the first and the last track, considering that the first track is Goodbye and the 8th last track is Hello?
Yeah, definitely there is. Like, what's first, the chicken or the egg? It's always the same. So you don't know, and if you say goodbye, at some point you say hello to something new. And speaking of the album being the kind of the kickoff of me starting to I want to be an artist. I'm going to start this journey, but in order to do so, I have to say goodbye to some things, so that the album is kind of the transition. And in the beginning, I say goodbye to a lot of things, but in the end, I'm fully there. You know, I've become Loveboy, and I found my imaginary friends, and we have a band now, and so we say hello to the world. You know, now we're here, and we say hello to new adventures, and it's basically arriving. You know.
While you were making, Goodbye, did you ever think that it would have the impact that it has had? Because, you've had quite a lot of streams, when you're looking at the tracks that you've put up on Spotify. Did you project that it would do, this well?
That's an interesting question. I think I never thought about the impact of, in terms of numbers. I don't want to concern myself too much about streaming numbers, because I think they're a bad measurement for success and a bad measurement for happiness, especially for artists. Because most people go like, there's other like I have friends and people I know online that have, I don't know, 5 to 20K streams. I know a guy through my producer that has like 300,000 streams a month. And if I would compare myself to them, I would go, my project is doing very bad. If I go compare myself to people that have less streams, I could say my project does very well. But I don't want to concentrate on that, because I'm more concerned about how well my project as a whole is affecting people that I know and people that come and like get in touch with it. And obviously my mission is to reshape love with this project. So I try to more concentrate on how well it's affecting people emotionally, and I want to help people by showing how I do with this project, how I try to heal myself with it, how I try to be creative, how I try to reach out to my inner child and be happy. And in that, there's no numbers that can like say, oh, you're successful or you're not. Because if I can change one person and help them be better and feel loved more, that's all you want, you know.
And sort of like what has Loveboy and his imaginary friends been up to, during the whole pandemic, lockdown. Let us in on what it is, any festivities that you guys have been getting up to there.
Well, that's that's a fun thing, because that's where I had the idea of photoshopping my imaginary friends into other people's photographs, because as everyone was locked down, my imaginary friends could still travel through the internet, and that kind of gives a whole new interesting thought about traveling. My imaginary friends, they can travel everywhere, and they can travel in other people's minds, and I hope they do good there. I want to help people reshape their brain and be more happy. So then I started during that time, I also started a newsletter to kind of change, share my thoughts, share my world view, and help people like understand this whole thing and understand love a bit differently. And I started the website with that, the newsletter. And I'm thinking of starting a podcast as well, just spread some good words around the world. And yeah, obviously I've been experimenting with the animation style and things so that I can prepare a live show, and hopefully I can do a live show soon. Yeah, I think that's all I did in that time.
Yeah, the one thing I'm grateful for is that it has allowed some musicians to completely indulge in their creative space and their process. And I'm really glad that you are able to show us a lot of your process on Instagram. Like there are posts where you show us how you map these figures, and I was wondering like what leads you to sort of show that side instead of just keeping everything behind the scenes and then showing only the final product.
There's different parts to that. One thing is certainly that it's hard to put out a lot of content all the time. So I think showing the process itself is very interesting as well for people, and you have more content to put out. And on the other hand, I mean, everyone knows these imaginary creatures are not real, but I mean, I don't see them. I'm all good. But online, they are real because they're in the pictures and in the videos. So like the video that I showed last, like a few days back or a week or two back, of the process of me dancing and then mapping it to Beefynn was, I don't know, it can be seen as a process of animating, but it could also be seen as just me and my imaginary friends exercising a dance, you know. So I don't know. I don't think it hurts to see the process.
I think something to really look forward to is something you brought up a bit earlier when we name dropped Goodbye. You said, or rather when we were talking about Masha Baby is the second album. I think that's one of the things, you know, your fans or rather your listeners and ourselves would be looking forward to. You know, are you able to sort of, you know, go into that a bit more in terms of what the plans are in terms of that second album, and if we can maybe expect a similar sound to the sound that we hear in Goodbye, or is it going to be something completely different? I'm super excited about this.
To be honest, we don't have a plan yet. It's pretty much we are at the point of the where the last song leaves us. You know, in the last song, or better say the second last song, we get on the spaceship and we fly away from that planet that the whole story of the first album happened. So it's pretty much all open now. And I think it will continue with other stories, maybe on another planet. Maybe we come back to real Earth. I don't know, like it's all open. And we're thinking about implementing Masha Baby as a sidekick, like on the storyline, but we don't have, like, I can't tell you anything because I don't have anything yet. It's just I think it's a process that we're gonna starting soon, but we have some, like a new track coming in probably 4 weeks, and another one maybe in 2 months, like just to, you know, keep the music going a bit, and while we do that we can start working on a second album. But musically, I think we just gonna analyze what we created in this first piece, and then we probably what we love doing, both of us, me and Masha Baby, we love digging in more, you know, in that authenticity. So what we will do, we will analyze what we created here and see like where can we go deeper, you know, like to really work on that style even more. And I think it will probably be pretty similar musically. What we don't do is we don't go and say, oh, okay, let's do some rock, or let's do some trap, or let's do some reggae or whatever. We're not concerned about genres. We just see where the story goes, see what we did well in the first project, and dig in there.
Just talking about sort of putting the genres aside and going for the vibe, what type of music do you listen to? Or at least, what's the last great album that you heard?
The last great album. Phew, that's a good question. I think the last ones that really moved me that came out newly were Tyler the Creator's Igor and Kanye's pretty much all his albums are very groundbreaking, and Bon Iver is a good one as well. Like his 22 Million, I think is the album called. Yeah, these ones are very interesting because they have a very authentic voice, I think, and that's what I love, because they all go their own way. Like they have their own voice and they work on that, you know, instead of working on a genre or anything. And I think Tyler the Creator was especially nice because he's fighting hard against him being put in a box like called urban or hip hop, as because he's clearly saying like I just want to break out and do whatever, you know. And on the other side, I listen a lot to old stuff like Bowie and Pink Floyd and I don't know, just all these old legends.
Well, I think that is solid. And if Tyler the Creator, Kanye, and Bon Iver, and Loveboy and his imaginary friends had to all be on the same lineup, I would definitely get my tickets. Like live or live stream, I wouldn't mind. That would be amazing.
That's literally the best, the best thing I've ever heard. Thank you.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about those influences? Like you said that you had sort of an ear in the family with your father being musical, and you have this balance between these really new iconic artists and older iconic artists. So what does that relationship sort of influence your style when you're songwriting?
I think big word is motivation. I feel like sometimes if we talk about Kanye or David Bowie or Tyler the Creator, they and many more, they have a very, very driven personality when it comes to creating stuff, you know. I think when they create, they want to change the world and they want to change themselves and they want to make things better, you know. And when you compare that to very mainstreamy artists that just go viral with a very radio like music, you know, I think these many people, like, I don't want to talk bad about anyone, but for example, for me, if I listen to Drake, he's a great artist, you know, he makes great music and he makes a shitload of music, to be honest. Obviously, he has the resources, but sometimes I feel like I'm not sure what his motivation is, you know? I'm not sure, is he doing it because that's his job, or is he doing it because like that's everything he does, everything he stands for, and everything he is. And I think when it comes to Kanye, he has this big like intrinsic motivation of creating, and that was what inspires me to that's what is so inspiring by these big characters. And musically, I don't know, I just love how some people nowadays just completely do something new with the music, but I totally appreciate the old styles.
Yeah, I definitely I can hear that, and I share a lot of I share love for a lot of the same artists. Like I think it's a good philosophy to stand for when you're trying to make music and you're trying to make it involve your whole human. So in terms of being sustainable, it's the better quest.
I think for me, one of the final questions is that, with earlier you mentioned your parents and you also mentioned your real life friends as well. Have they been showing you, support in what you're trying to do as an artist and along with your imaginary friends?
Yeah, definitely. It's never been better actually. But I mean, my family and my friends, and I have this certain amount of friends like from back home that I grew up with, and they've always like been everything to me, and my family, of course. So I don't know. We've always supported each other in doing anything, except it's a really bad idea. Then we probably say you shouldn't do that, but but that doesn't happen a lot. So yeah, they've been very supportive all the time, and it's interesting, when you open up in some way and you're being vulnerable. It's most of the times it's these times when you're being vulnerable that you experience love the most. So you open up and you say, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to have imaginary friends as a band. And people, maybe they go first like, okay, are you all right? Or but I mean, my friends know all my history of my mental health and all that, so they're always very supportive when I open up. And I think more people should open up more, and then it should be on us to say, you're doing fine, that's good, open up more, like you're welcomed here.
I think it's really beautiful that you've got and you're surrounded by people who support and love the craft.
Yeah, I agree. Is there is there anything that we haven't touched on in terms of your let's reshape love ethos and the beautiful way you've communicated that in terms of the three curves on the heart?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I got a bit obsessed with the thought of duality. I'm sure you've heard of that one as well. Like we have this life and death, we have day and night, we have two sides, right and left, and all that stuff is like our lives are all about duality in some way. And it's been the same with like with love, where you have a man and a woman, and all these systems that we were born into. And I think nowadays we especially the young people, we realize these systems are not working anymore. We need to come up with new systems, and open up more, and have more systems for more different people, so that everyone can be happy. And I think in love we see that as well. Like so many people that want to maybe marry someone of the same gender, or people that need more love, and they don't get it, or I don't know, or they have a different type of love that we don't know yet, and they want to express it. And obviously I always think, if you don't hurt anyone, then do what you want. As soon as you hurt someone, you should think about, is it the right thing I'm doing? So we have many systems that are like in this duality thing, especially love. And I thought, if you open up the heart, because the heart as we know it has two cheeks. So if you want to reshape love, and reshape the way we think about love, we have to reshape the symbol that stands for the old kind of love. So I cracked this old heart open, and I added a third cheek to kind of symbolize, let's reshape love, and let's have more space for more people, because we need it.
I have one question about something you said called Brain and Soul Gym. gym sort of implies that there needs to be a practice or a consistency. Is that something that, like, do you see it as a discipline, or is there something that needs to inspire you to activate it?
I don't know. I just see a lot of people working on their bodies and not many people working on their brain. And I mean, it's not meant to. I'm not saying that people that go to the gym a lot are less intelligent or anything. That's not the connection that I want to make. But what I want to say is that people feel very comfortable to go to a gym and work on their body, but people don't feel comfortable to go to a person that helps them develop new brain, new thoughts, new ideas, new, like, work on themselves as a personality. And I think we need to reshape that thinking of, as soon as someone goes to, yeah, for now it's a doctor most of the times. That's the difference. You don't go to a doctor to work on your body. Oh, actually you do. Many people do that. So see, like, as soon as someone goes sees a doctor because they have problems with their brains, everyone goes like, oh, okay, oh shit, that's not good. And I don't know, I'm not sure if I want to stay in contact or whatever, but people feel like, yeah, you go work on your body all the time, you get a personal trainer, you get a surgery and everything. But people have this, I don't know, bad thoughts about people going to see a doctor and work on their personalities. And that's why I think, why not have like brain or soul gyms where people could go and have a personal trainer. That it's basically the same as seeing a psychiatrist. It's just wording it differently, because I think it's not a bad thing. It's very good, and more people should use that opportunity that we have.
Hey, well said, bro. And I really feel like, there's like, so, like, I feel we could go on, with the quality and the quantity of sort of like art that you make, both on sort of like a visual aspect and the musical aspects. I think that's one of the reasons why this episode just feels like it's been short, but it's full of insights into who you are and what you do. I feel like you've painted the clearest picture, even for anyone who might be tuning in and maybe hearing about Loveboy and his imaginary friends for the first time. I feel like this is, you've like, it doesn't even feel like it's you've never done an interview before. That's how that's how good you are at this, man. So yeah, I feel like, that being said, just closing out, bro, where can people sort of get in touch with you? Where's your stuff available? This is the time to plug.
Yeah, well, obviously, if you, I'm most active on Instagram. There, the name is What's Pumpin'. On the other hand, you can go to my website, which is loveboyandhisimaginary.friends.com, or you go on Spotify and have a listen, and there you can find other links. And also, I'm very keen on people subscribing to my newsletter, because I feel like that's the best way I can like help in some way and inspire people, because there I can have a little more of an intimate moment with people and really tell them, I don't know, just something that will make their days a bit brighter. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Or shoot me a message anytime on any of those channels.
Yeah, once again, bro, I can't thank you enough for getting on the show. As always, I like to just give the credit, to Meagan for setting this up, and it's just, for me as well, it's just a really amazing experience, getting to learn about, the likes of yourself, bro, who are doing some major things and some good quality work. So thank you both for this experience. With this episode, guys, it's going to be going up on Apple podcast. We are Sludge Underground Podcast, and on Spotify, Sludge Underground Podcast, and SoundCloud, Sludge Underground. And please check us out on social media: Facebook, Sludge Underground, and on Twitter at Sludge Earthy1, on Instagram at Sludge Underground. As for myself, at Zwane Earthy1 on everything. Meagan of Lemon Dove, who are you online?
You can find me on Instagram at Lemon Dove Duo or at Meagan King. Thank you so much, Loveboy. Thank you for spending such quality time with us. It's been really great.
Yeah, let me just take a second to also thank you guys for having me and have this good talk, and I think it's very, very amazing to have someone that you don't know just being interested in what you do. That feels very heartwarming. So thank you very much for that.
All right, sweet. That's awesome, bro. Yeah, so guys, we're going to be playing out Mr. Disco Dino. Please do enjoy the track. It's been another awesome episode of Sludge. Until next time, it is bye for now.
Dinos have been gone so long. I never thought I'd meet one with a disco belly on. Excuse me, Mr. Dino, Mr. Disco Dino. My ship broke down and my world is gone. I feel so alone. Hey, little friend, he sang, I've been waiting for you so long. You, the boy that flies, the boy that falls from the skies. Everybody's waiting.